2024's Bakuage Sentai Boonboomger was one of my favorite Sentai series of all time, and my favorite of the Reiwa era specifically. I love the storytelling, I love the themes, I love the motives, I love the idea of taking your life by your own control, grabbing it by the steering wheel and being in charge of things, and I loved the way that the series progressed. Now, in terms of the toy line, it was a little bit more imperfect. Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to Sentai Showcase. Today we're talking about Bakuage Sentai Boonboomger's toy line. Everything from changers to mecha to weapons. I have pretty much everything minus a couple exceptions here and there, and we're going to talk about what I find to be an imperfect toy line, but still a fun one. It's definitely not a slam dunk like we've seen with some other toy lines, and it's definitely not all bad like we see with some other Sentai toy lines. So this is going to be somewhere in the middle, and I think it'd be kind of interesting to discuss it. We're going to go through every mecha combination, every changer, every weapon, all that good stuff. Now, whether or not some of the combinations were intentional or not, we're going to go through those, and it's going to be chronologically as it appeared in the series. What showed up in episode 1, what showed up in episode 40, everything in between. I think this will be a fun time, and I want to kind of discuss my thoughts on the overall toy line for Bakuage Sentai Boonboomger, because I love the show so much, and I bought all the toys because of how much I love the show, yet I didn't find all the toys to be as spectacular as I hoped. And if you enjoy this series of videos, be sure to hit that like button, lets YouTube know you enjoy it, hit the subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss out on future episodes of Sentai Showcase and other videos on the channel. But let's begin all the way back to where Boonboomger started back in episode 1. Alright, so before we talk about the Boonboom changer and functionality, I did want to talk about how I will be using the Memorial Edition over the Deluxe version for the video, because the Memorial Edition has a lot of physical changes and features that are really, really cool and will make the video more spectacular. But I did want to highlight the differences here. As you can see, they do look quite different. So this is the Deluxe one. This, of course, is your like standard retail release one that would come out, you know, in stores and everything. And then this is the premium Bandai exclusive Memorial Edition that has a bunch of extra sounds and features like voice lines, episode-specific moments, and other cool things. So you can kind of see there are some physical changes. There is a actual LED behind the little gauge there, whereas this one is just the gauge. And then the paint's a little bit brighter, a little bit sharper. You can see there is black plastic on the button here where it's clear plastic on this one. And then the light show is a little bit different. Like when you turn it on, you can see that the light here is a different color, and then also there is a light behind where it doesn't have one here. And so for that reason, it is a little bit different. Otherwise, they are physically about the same. The Memorial Edition does add 2 buttons for music and voice lines, and the clip on the back where you load the cars or load it into the brace is black plastic instead of clear plastic. So it is a bit of a fancier upgrade overall. Now, basic functionality-wise, they both work about the same, but this one does have a few extra features, which we'll be using for the sake of the video. But not all the features. There's a ton of voice line stuff that I kind of want to keep this video a little bit more focused. But that's kind of the difference between the two Boom Boom changers. Now, this also goes to the case for the Boom Boom Booster, but time of recording, the Memorial Edition has not released, so we're not highlighting that in this video. The other major change on the Memorial Edition is the brace now has a much longer strap. It is like 3 or 4 times longer than the Deluxe one, and it is a bit wider as well, so it's made for adult wrists. And also the device, the button to hold to get this out, is a little bit tighter than the one on the Deluxe one. That one goes in kind of quick and easy. This one's got a little bit more of a click to it. Just a nice upgrade overall. Debuting in episode 1, the Boon Boom changer is used by Boon Red, Boon Blue, and Boon Pink for summoning cars, using the steering wheel, special attacks, and of course, transformation into a Boonboomger. It works just like this. So while it is its own separate piece, the wrist brace is pretty cool because it gives it a classic Sentai feel with that wrist changer. You also have a special attack sound that sounds like this. Other than that, it mostly just stays on the wrist and looks nice, used for communication and other features. It slides off and allows itself to be connected to multiple different things. Also, from a toy perspective, note that there are tabs here which are rubbing up against the buttons, and I'm not exactly sure if it goes completely over to not press any buttons, so keep that in mind when you're displaying. Also debuting in Episode 1 alongside the Boon Changer was the Boon Handle. This is the weapon for red, blue, and pink. It has two different modes. It's got a blaster form. And then it can be swapped over into a sword form, which is a little awkward to hold, but still does the job. Continuing our Episode 1 debuts, we have Boondorio, also known as Boom Boom, the assistant robot to the Boonboomgers, who helps with their technology, their vehicles, their weapons, as well as becoming their giant robot. And in fact, the toy version of Boondorio is the Boonboomger Robo toy with a couple modifications. There's a couple pieces pulled off the back here, and then he comes with an alternate faceplate that allows him to look like his nice, cheery, happy self, not his combat version that we'll see later. Now, the cool part about him is that in addition to being a really helpful robot and friend and member of the team, he also does a bunch of mecha formations and is the core central part of Boonboomger's robo formations. Now, this little piece included with Boondorio does hold his alternate face piece, because Boondorio does have an alternate robot form, and so when you don't need it, it kind of goes in here. This little guy will also be helpful for some combinations that need a little bit of a gap filler. Now, in order for the Boonboomgers to summon their vehicles, they have smaller versions of the vehicles that attach to the Boon Changer in order to summon that specific vehicle. Then they can lock the Boon Changer into the handle, which now becomes the steering wheel for the car they're choosing. So now with most Boom Boom cars, the toy version that's used to summon them is also the same toy used in the Mecha combination. The exception to this is Boom Boom Trailer. This specific version of the Boom Boom Trailer car was exclusive to the Memorial Edition Boon Changer, which I have, and it is more fully painted than a prior Candy Toy version. They even got the tires locked in and have nice covers on them, so it's a little bit fancier than some of the other Boom Boom cars from the deluxe line. But this is the only quote-unquote deluxe Boom Boom trailer that's been released. The others were magazine bonuses or other promotional bonuses, Gashapon toys, that sort of thing. But using this will allow you to summon Boom Boom Trailer. And you can see the pure size difference between the trailer and then the actual car summoning the trailer, because there are rails down here, but this is for something for the mecha form, not to be summoning it. So if you want that summoning sound, you have to get one of these in whatever form you get it in. But then we get the Boom Boom trailer itself, which is full size. Now, unfortunately, it only has 4 working tires. These are dummy tires, which is ironic, because on the Memorial at least, there is 6 rolling tires here. But you've got a very nice looking trailer, which of course is Boondorio in his trailer form, which is really, really cool. Now, this also has the very famous / infamous gate mode, which is for activating Boom Boom Car's special abilities. So gate mode's a really funny looking form, but basically there is a gate to pass through. A Boom Boom car is locked in here, and then slid forward to go into its attack mode, which also allows it to be able to be combined with Boonboomger Robo. So this is kind of where we have to begin, and we need some more Boom Boom cars before we can make a combination. Boom Boom Off-Road is typically associated with Boon Blue, considering it's blue and throwing my camera's white balance out of whack. But it is a small off-road type vehicle here, which nicely rolls. And honestly, these roll pretty good, all things considered. But this is typically associated with Boon Blue, though anybody can use any of the Boom Boom cars. Next we have Boonboomwagon, typically associated with Boon Pink for its pink color overall, which is pretty nice. It is another kind of SUV type vehicle. Interestingly, it has two different connection ports, one on the bottom as well as one on the top, which you'll see why in a moment. Debuting in Episode 1, Boonboomger Robo is a combination between trailer, off-road, and wagon, and this is the main robot. This is pretty nice, honestly. It's very simplistic, especially compared to the King-Ohger Mecha of the year prior, but he still has some articulation. He's got universal shoulder joints, which is pretty cool. You can even adjust the hip joints here forward. They don't really go in and out. They kind of go in a little bit, but that's about it. And sometimes some things will pop off. What's also cool is while some of these will be used, there are clips here on the feet and on the shoulders for additional parts, so you could stick whatever Boom Boom cars you want all over it, and I like that level of customization. Overall, it's not the greatest robot in the world, but I think it's a nice one and a nice starting point for our line. What's also cool is that there is a couple different ways to activate the finisher sound for Boonboomger Robo. The first way is with the Boom Boom handle. And then the second way is by lifting this part up, you can slide the Boom Boom changer itself right here onto the back, and that'll let you do a special finisher. Now, Boom Boom Classic doesn't have a specific owner, but it kind of associates with red, also with its pairing, we'll see later. But it is a very classic-looking car and a nice, shiny-looking paint scheme. Overall, one of my favorite designs of the Boom Boom cars. Our first custom combo is Boonboomger Robo Nito Ryu, which is basically just Boonboomger Robo with Boom Boom Classic in its sword form. Now, this is not one of the major combinations. It doesn't have a fancy name. I guess Nito Ryu is kind of a fancy name, but it's basically just Boonboomger Robo with a second sword, which is pretty cool overall. Debuting in Episode 5 and used by Boom Black and Boon Orange is the Boom Boom Booster, which is their main transformation device. It has more of a siren and construction theme because it kind of fits the vehicles they go with, and it is just used by those two. Now, toy-wise, this is very similar to the Boom Boom Changer in that you actually change with this and then it attaches to another object, which of course we will get to in a moment, and it can read the Boom Boom cars on the back. Though with the Boom Boom Booster, at least on the deluxe one, it only tells you the name of the robo combination, not the specific car. So, for example, while it can read the cars, it has a much more severely limited sound palette to the Boonboomger Changer. With that being said, let's do the transformation. Yes, that's right. The Boom Boom Change Axe is the full version of their changer. The booster is just part of it, and it is sold with it exclusively, and the Change Axe itself kind of sucks as a toy. It's incredibly small, it's incredibly weak. The Memorial Edition version of this is full size or close to it, which is pretty nice, but the original deluxe toy version is very limited. You get a couple of different buttons here. You can see that there's a arms setting readout there. But basically, if you push the button, you get a couple different sounds. And those sounds are coming from the booster itself because the actual change axe doesn't have any electronics to it. It has an axe mode, of course, and it does have a sword mode. The sword mode is very pathetic, and it is the exact same sound effects. There's no change there. Now, where the sounds do change, if you hold down this button, you can switch it into driving mode. And so now we're in driving mode, and this is our steering wheel, and you can see that it now says drive in here, which is pretty cool. Other than that, you just push the button, you get attack sounds for finishers in the cockpits. So this toy is much more severely limited compared to the Boom Boom Changer and the Boom Boom Handle in conjunction, and does basically the same things, so it's not as cool overall. Boom Boom Patrol Car 1, typically associated with Boon Black, considering he's a police officer and all. And it is a squad car looking vehicle, which looks really, really cool. Nicely painted. Boom Boom Patrol Car 2, also associated with Boon Black, and this one is more of an armored van type, which also has two different connection ports, because this car actually splits in half in attack mode. Debuting in Episode 5, Boonboomger Robo Police is our first major new combination. It's got a new sound, it's got a new name. It looks really, really cool. So, of course, you got the dual-wielding pistols, which is the Boom Boom Patrol Car 2, and then Boom Boom Patrol Car 1 becomes a new head with a really cool, like, policeman's cap kind of thing going on there, which I think is neat. I like the way that the light bar from the car mode is now kind of like the forehead bar for Boonboomger Robo. And that's pretty cool too. And it's interesting because instead of being like a helmet situation, you just literally fold the normal Boonboomger Robo helmet back, and then it just slides in place. Which is kind of the fun simplicity of this line that I appreciate. It's real simple to do these combinations. Boon Boon Shovel, associated most closely with Boon Orange, with a construction theme to it. I do like that you can actually articulate the shovel itself, so it's got a little bit of play feature. It is kind of funny that we are called Boon Boon cars, and yet here is a construction vehicle. In that same vein, we have Boon Boon Dozer, associated with Boon Orange, another construction vehicle, and you can actually tilt that, even though it is spring-loaded for the shovel part there. But it is overall a neat looking vehicle. Debuting in Episode 7, Boonboomger Robo Builder is my least favorite of the main Boonboomger Robo combinations, because it just feels a little messy. I like the design elements, and I like this idea of the shovel being attached to the arm, except it's not. Like, in the show, it kind of moves along with it, but in toys, it just sits there, and you can kind of position it, but it doesn't super work for me, and it just feels incredibly lopsided, like this is one part of a bigger combination. Spoiler alert, officially, it's not. It's just how it is. But that's Boonboomger Builder Robo. It looks nice, but I wish it was a little bit tighter in design. In Episode 8 of the series, Boom Boom Off-Road was cloned into Boon Boon Ghost, which never had a deluxe release, only a candy toy release that does not transform, and was used in a single episode where they formed Boonboomger Robo Puncher. I don't own that candy toy for that one-off appearance, but there you go for history's sake. Here we have Boom Boom Racing, which is a really cool speed car, and it actually is paired up with one we looked at earlier, which is Boom Boom Classic, kind of the two different versions of sports cars. This is also associated with Boon Red, and has a very nice red color scheme with a little bit of silver accent. Boonboomger Robo Knight is my favorite of the main Boonboomger Robo combinations with the normal cars because I think it just works. It is definitely asymmetrical, but I like kind of the Knight cape shoulder, the Knight helmet, and then of course the Knight sword. Sort of reminiscent of King-Ohger in a bit with the shoulder cape kind of thing going on here. This also works as a shield in show, which I think is really cool. Just has a nice, neat, clean look to it. Now, like I said, eventually there's not a way to make all these formations into one formation, which it kind of seemed like with, you know, things being a little lopsided here and there. You'll leave that up to your own imagination, but there are some combinations throughout the series that would mix and match the Boom Boom cars. From episode 10, we have Boonboomger Robo Builder Wagon Custom. It's Boonboomger Robo Builder with Wagon. I think it's kind of a neat combo, and it actually sort of balances out the design a little bit. From episode 10, Boonboomger Robo Patrol Car 1 and Racing Custom, which is interesting. These are two headpieces, but we're using the shield-like abilities of Racing and the claw-like abilities from Patrol Car 1. Boom Boom Safari isn't necessarily paired with a single Boonboomger, kind of used by everybody, and is a bright fluorescent yellow that is throwing everything out of whack in the camera itself. It is very bright, and it has a cute little face on it and some tiger stripes. Isn't that adorable? It actually reminds me a lot of Nekomaru from Ninja Sentai Kaku Ranger. Debuting in episode 13, Boom Boom Safari Custom, using Safari for the first time in a combination. Now this isn't too significant on its own, but something else from episode 13 was a major revelation. So while not a changer, this device, the Boom Boom Danger, is a summoning tool for the Sunseeders to summon Boom Boom Killer Robo, an evil version of Boonboomger Robo that the villains use throughout the series, while it gets blown up multiple times because the Sunsetters are essentially Team Rocket. Now, a cool part here is that this was sold with a version of the Boonboomger Robo on Premium Bandai, and that was the only way to get the Danger. There was a version of Killer Robo without this, but I thought the version with it was the cooler version. So let's hear some of those sound effects, and let's get ready to see Boonboomger Killer Robo. So Boom Boom Killer Robo, which is actually three components, the Boom Boom Killer Trailer, Killer Off-Road, and Killer Wagon, which basically are the Boonboomger equivalents just run through a Mad Max filter, is pretty awesome. This was released through Premium Bandai, and there was two versions, one that came with the Danger, one that didn't. But you can see that basically these are recolors of Off-Road and Wagon, whereas Trailer had a little bit more work done to it. It got the crazy spiky tires added, and then a new faceplate. Underneath the faceplate, in fact, is the normal trailer cover. I don't know how to get the faceplate off, so this is just a piece slapped onto the front, but it works for what we need. All the other functionality is pretty much the same as you would see it with Boom Boom Trailer, so let's just get straight to it to Boonboomger Killer Robo. Now the cool part is the Boom Boom Danger does read cars, though it doesn't do too many sounds. It does have them for the killer vehicles themselves. Let's take a listen. And here we have Boonboomger Killer Robo. So you can see up here we've got a brand new head, which looks evil and scary, which is great, matches the aesthetic. I love the that it's dripped out in brown, gunmetal gray and black, looking all scary and spooky and stuff. It's really, really cool. They even changed the drill here, so it's less of a screwdriver, more of an actual like angry drill. And I think this overall is a great look for a mecha. Of course, we do need to compare it to its original model, which is the Boonboomger Robo. And you can see just, this is, you know, it's the scarier version. I think ran through a Mad Max filter is pretty much an apt description of how this guy works. But yeah, they did do some retoolings and some parts. Some of it's just straight repaints. But overall, it's definitely more of an evil version. So just like with Boonboomger Robo, you can attach the Boom Boom Danger to the back here. You get sound effects that are voice lines of the soundsetters piloting the mecha, and things going well or going wrong depending on their day. I love their little bit that sounds like their Team Rocket blasting off again. This is a fun toy. And the coolest part is this won't be the last time we see Boonboomger Killer Robo in this video. Boon Boon Marine pairs up with Boon Boon Safari, and this one is a nice seafoam green. Once again, the colors are throwing it out of whack, but I kind of wonder what type of vehicle this is supposed to be, because of the sharks here, it implies that it's got a water tank, especially with the ladder. So is it carrying a whole aquarium back there? Who knows, but it's a neat looking vehicle. It's a little bit different than the others. Debuting in episode 14, Boonboomger Robo Monster is one of my favorites for ingenuity. Toy-wise, it doesn't look as cool in the show because they kind of crouch a little bit better in the show, but I love the idea of having the big old claws and then the head here making it a monster form where he's a little bit positioned differently, and I think that's super cool. I also like the blue-colored shark missile in the mouth of Marine, and I do like that Marine is upside down because it makes it not so obvious in its car mode what it'll become for the robots. Overall, Boonboomger Robo Monster is a pretty cool idea and taking something completely different than the other combinations. Debuting in episode 16 alongside Boon Violet is the Boon Boon Controller, which is actually a really cool idea and design. So Boon Violet is an F1 racer design, and so this is designed like an F1 racer's steering wheel, where there would be all these buttons and extra controls for F1 racing, including a display readout, which I think is really awesome. So it's got kind of its driving mode, and then it also has its bow gun mode, which is his main weapon as well. So this is kind of taking a similar approach to the Change Axe for Orange and Black, in that it is the weapon and the changer. However, this thing actually has a more wide range of sounds built into it than the other two changers combined, ignoring the Memorial Edition of the Boon Boon Changer, and I think that's pretty awesome. So let's switch it on and see what we got. So what's pretty cool is that it has multiple lights and there is buttons. Now the buttons are essentially a left button and a right button, so there's a bunch of combinations and secret codes like a video game controller would have, and so you can put them in exactly as it is in the show, or you can just press left or right in the correct sequence. The toy box actually included all the codes. We're going to do them all correctly, starting with the transformation. So from there, we have the rest of the sounds, which is for the bowgun mode, because they are attack sounds. Let's go to the other combinations. So this is a much more fun toy than it seems on the surface, and I like all the button combinations. But of course, Boon Violet did not come alone, and he came with another robot friend from space. So debuting episode 16 was Bune Diesel, also known as Bundy. Now just like Boondorio Boondaris, this is a helper robot who is also a really cool guy, member of the team, and then also can become the main mecha for Boon Violet. Boon Violet and Boon Diesel are such a great duo in the series, and this is just kind of like the cool part, is that, he becomes the mecha as well. Now, as a robot on his own, he is a little bit simplistic in some areas. There's not much articulation because he is built on the Sentai DX Robo Universe skeletal system, which is basically that there is an inner skeleton that is universally used across several different re-releases / new versions of older Sentai mecha. They actually are new versions. I don't know why I said re-releases. They're exactly brand new. But basically the way it works is that every single one of them works off of this kind of system where there is additional pieces put on this skeletal frame. So whether you have like Tokyo or Engino, it's going to be all on the same universal frame, which also has the same universal connection joints, so you can combine as you wish and mix and match and all kinds of stuff. So basically the Power Rangers Zord Builder line from the 2010s brought into Sentai. But Buundi was the first release of that, and one that works on the skeleton, which does limit his toy a little bit, but it does make him compatible with those Sentai Robo Universe figures. So here we have Boonboom Mach, which is the main mecha for Boon Violet in its vehicle form. I love the design of this. Because of the way that this becomes Boonboom Mach Robo, you actually have kind of a replica of the steering column that matches the Boom Boom controller. But the coolest part too is that you basically have a car that's driving itself. And I love the way it looks. It's a really great visual in show as well, because the steering wheel does turn, which it does here. And if you wanted to kind of pose it, you kind of can, but the arms really don't go anywhere in this mode. But I like the little driving feature. I love the F1 Formula racing aesthetics to it. I think it looks really cool. Now, it is a little bit simplistic for a mecha, but I think that as a car, as kind of a neat concept, I'm kind of into it. I really do like kind of the half driving, like he is driving himself at Mach speed. Now we have Boonboom Mach Robo. Now this thing is cool in concept. As a toy, it is a little bit unsteady because his feet are really tiny and the bow gun is kind of heavy. So if you have the bow gun out too far, he actually still stands. He's not going to be the sturdiest guy, but he actually works fairly well. I find that because of the Sentai Robo Universe skeleton, he's a little shaky because there's all these different pegs because you can just pop an arm off. It makes him a little bit wobbly in some places, but of course he's got the large bow gun, he's got the wing pack, and both of those are compatible with other mecha in the line, which is super cool. Now, if he wants to do a super special finisher, there actually is compatibility with the Boom Boom controller. So as in the series, you have a giant version of the Boom Boom controller, but in this case, it's the normal toy version, and you take the actual bow gun of Mach Robo, latch it in there. It doesn't lock in. It's not a peg system. It's just kind of resting there. And then you can position his arms up like this, and then you are ready to fire a special attack. I think this is a neat inclusion. I think it's a neat way to make compatibility work. It's kind of similar to how you can put the Boom Boom changer on the back of Boonboomger Robo. This works in a very similar way, and I think it's pretty cool overall. It's kind of fun. I love when the toys become giant size in the show when they actually go to do an attack. It's a neat thing. That being said, it does take up a lot of space on your display if that's the way you want to display it. So in episode 18, Boonboomger Killer Robo got its own Nito Ryu form, but it didn't just use Boom Boom Classic. There was a Boom Boom Killer Classic, which had a nice serrated sword. They never made Boom Boom Killer Classic, so we can't make this combination. Kind of a bummer. Thought they would have done that. Wing Boonboomger Robo is the closest thing we get to a combination between Boondoria and Buundi, and it looks pretty nice. It kind of reminds me just of Mega Ranger, where the Mega Voyager could get the Mega Winger's wings. It's kind of basically the same thing, and it works well for what it is. From episode 21, we have Wing Boonboomger Robo Monster, which is Boonboomger Robo Monster with the wings on the back. Pretty simple and straightforward. Debuting in episode 21 to allow Boon Red to get his power-up form is the Zun Zun Shoka Blaster. This is a pretty simple gun toy for Toku. It is actually kind of small a little bit, but this is basically a transformation device / weapon / summoning tool and finisher tool. So basically the way this works is much like all the toys have this kind of 3-button action. This one has a 3-pump action for transformation into Boon Red 119. So it's a pretty fun toy, if a little limited. Now the rails up here are specifically so you can do the finisher attack for inside the mecha cockpit by attaching the Boom Boom changer. Now, of course, Boon Red did not just debut with a new form and a new gun, he also needed to have a new mecha. Boom Boom Shobosha, which is going to be a very integral part to Boom Boom Leo Rescue. As you can see, there's a lion face and other faces within. It's kind of like a headmaster from Transformers if it had no robot mode. It's also a little bland in the front, but it'll make more sense in a moment. Debuting in episode 22 is the Boom Boom Leo Rescue, which is really, really cool. I really love this. This is probably my favorite mecha of all of Boonboomger. So we have a fire truck, which you can see is super, super awesome. Really stacked out, really cool. And we do have an extending ladder here, which the ladder does rotate all the way up. And it even extends forward. And the cool part about it extending forward is you can actually attach a Boom Boom car to the front, and then when you extend it forward, it activates the gimmick if it wants to work. There we go. It takes a little bit of force, but basically it's a way around having to use gate mode to activate the Boom Boom cars, which is nice because taking Boondorio apart to put them into gate mode just to activate these little features can get tedious when you're working with combinations. So we have a nice backup option there, which I do appreciate. The other cool part about this guy is the Shobosha car being part of the design. So as you can see, here's what the Boom Boom Leo Rescue looks like without it in there. But then once you slot that in, boom, it kind of completes the front look there, which is why the Shobosha car doesn't look that great on its own. It's kind of meant to be part of a whole. All 6 tires are working, but they don't always hit the ground, depending on how you have it laid out. But that is pretty cool. However, it's not the only thing that Boom Boom Leo Rescue can do. So here we have Boom Boom Leon, which is this awesome lion robot for the Boonboomgers to have. I love lions. Lions are one of my favorite animals. So yeah, a lion that turns into a fire truck, that's just hitting the kid part of my brain. I would absolutely have adored this as a child, and I absolutely adore it as an adult because I think it's so cool how it becomes, a fire truck to a lion, and it looks really good, considering. He's a little blocky, of course, like the CG model in the show allowed him to kind of move a little bit more, like the side parts here, which are supposed to be like his main. I wish they did rotate out, but because of the transformation and combination stuff, you can't quite do it. But I do like the fire truck ladder becoming the tail. It's a really, really cool design. I really do adore it. But it does get better. Here we have Armored Boom Boom Leon, which was also from episode 22. It was a really packed episode. You had the debut of this thing, and then also its powered-up form. This is really cool, and I really love the idea of using the other Boom Boom cars and allowing kind of Boom Boom Leon to have its own independent combination from Boonboomger Robo. Because it's also natural it's going to have a combination of Boonboomger Robo. If you've seen enough Sentai, you know how that goes. But this is really cool. I love the dozer off the back for the tail, because that's like, hey, now he's got a hammer tail, he's got twin hip guns, and then swords up front. So this thing is lethal. It's awesome. You could put any combination of Boom Boom cars together for this. But honestly, in this case, the official combination is probably the best one with what we have to work with. Really do adore the overall combination here. But of course, there is more to do with Boom Boom Leon. Debuting in episode 23 is Boonboomger Robo 119. Once again, my favorite of the Boonboomger combos. I adore this form. I love the combination of color schemes and everything. I think the armor look is great. It's an upgrade to Boonboomger Robo that doesn't get overly complicated. And it's super solid and sturdy. We'll talk about why that's a compliment in a little while. I love the design of this. He's got the big old shield on one arm, the ladder on the other, which has the extending feature. What's also cool is that there's still the clips in place, so if you wanted to attach, you could attach more Boom Boom cars. You could do 1, 2, 3, 4 right there, 5 on the end. You could have them hold weapons. There's a lot of possibilities and combinations. And once again, I do love that the Shubsha car is the front of the truck, it's the head of the line, and it's the head of Boonboomger Robo 119. Absolute winner of a combo in my eyes. One of my favorite design details is the way that these line up together on the shoulder pads. It's really great, it feels real intentional, and I absolutely adore it. That is my favorite combo, but we still got more combos to go. Debuting in episode 25 is the Boom Boom Full Throttle Edition. This is a combination that was totally made up by the show producers and the show team, not the toy designers, because none of this works. So essentially, this was their answer to, well, Bandai didn't design in a big old cluster combination that works in everything, so we're going to do it. As you can see, if Mach Robo isn't perfectly linked up here, he's going to fall over because he's got 4 cars sticking out with his tiny feet. It doesn't work. This is just completely an unintentional form. It's just kind of them throwing stuff together. We'll just set that off to the side. You can see that they've not only they just have nothing for Marine and Safari to do, they're just resting on panels. They're not even clipped in. Everything else is at least clipped in some way. But yeah, if Mach Robo isn't perfectly aligned, leaning against something, he will fall over. I don't call this a combo, but at least they tried. From episode 29, Wing Boonboomger Robo Marine and Off-Road Custom, which is Wing Boonboomger Robo with Marine and Off-Road. That's pretty much the whole custom. Debuting episode 30 was Boonboomger Killer Robo Police. Now, in the show, the eyes were blacked out to give it a little bit more sinister of a look, but toy-wise, you can replicate it with the cars. And this is the first time the Boonboomger Killer Robo was able to carjack some of the other Boonboomger cars, but not the last time either. I think it's also cool that using any of the Boonboomger cars on the Boom Boom Danger gets you the carjack sound. It's pretty awesome. Debuting in episode 33 is the Champion Changer. Now, this device allows the Boonboomgers to form their champion forms, which is their power-up for the series, where they get cool racing jackets, and I adore it. The Changer itself is, it does look like the front part of a truck, because it is. More on that in a minute. But this is essentially how it works. So it is on the good old LR44 batteries, but basically that's all it is as a changer, but you do need to have a Boom Boom changer to work with it. Now, we're going to do this twice because it acts a little different on the original Boom Boom changer versus the Memorial Edition Boom Boom changer. So let's get this thing booted up and started. And that's basically all it does. The Boom Boom Changer is basically not recognizing any part of the car. The car itself is doing all of the work, and that is basically how it functions there. But like I said, the Boom Boom Changer Memorial Edition actually has a completely different set of sounds because it has an entire champion mode to use this car with. You don't exactly get the full transformation in the Memorial, but there are some sounds of the transformation in the Memorial if you don't have this car, which is nice, but it would have been nice to have the whole thing if they weren't going to include a Champion Changer Memorial Edition. So all the champion attack sounds and finisher sounds are only in the Memorial Boom Boom Changer after you use this car. They are in there without the car as well, which is neat, but if you want the full transformation, you're going to have the champion car with the Memorial Edition Changer, which makes me wish this was included with the Memorial Edition Changer. But it's time to move on because the Champion Changer allows for new powers. It also allows for new robots. Debuting in episode 33 was Boom Boom Mach Robo Tokyo Custom. This is essentially just to promote the Deluxe Robo Universe Tokyo toy, and so it's compatible and they can combine together. I didn't pick up the Deluxe Robo Universe Tokyo because I'm not collecting DX Robo Universe, and I have the Deluxe Tokyo from way back when, so this one doesn't do me any good to own except for this one-off combo. Actually, it's two-off combo. It showed up a couple of times, but it was kind of neat to bring in a Legacy Sentai and then it actually worked with the current toys. Debuting in episode 34 is the Champion Carrier. So the Champion Carrier is an interesting beast. First of all, the Champion Changer, which we just went over, is the front cab section. This also means if you want just the Champion Changer without getting the whole Champion Carrier, you can't. They never sold the Champion Changer on its own in any way. It just solely exists as this piece of the Champion Carrier. So that's a bummer for Changer collectors, especially because the Memorial Edition didn't do anything to rectify that. But it is the front car of the Champion Carrier, and the Champion Carrier, as you can imagine, is a carrier. So it's got two different forms. It's got this form, which is kind of smaller, more compact. You can stick two Boom Boom cars on the top. The nice part is they do lock in, which I do appreciate. So you got, two Boom Boom cars up there. You can also extend this out into a much longer carrier, not exactly as big as the one in the show. They had like an infinite number of these cars. And then you can see I messed up the toy. You gotta actually detach it and slide them off those pegs instead of just pulling straight up. But this allows you to expand the carrier at least a little bit more, which will give you some more room for some more cars, like so. That's not quite right, like that. So there we go, you got that going on. So we can stick like blue on front here, and we got pink's main car, and we got black's main car, can go, maybe it is better just to separate it, and then orange's main car. So there we go. That is the full-on Champion Carrier. Now, here's the bummer part. This is not a high-quality toy. So the wheels, these wheels don't turn. There are a couple wheels underneath, and then there is one wheel here and one wheel back here, and then the front wheels here, and then everything else is fake, so this thing just drags. This thing does not roll, it drags. It's probably scratching my table doing that. That's not great. Also, in terms of do you want to just pick it up like a toy, yeah, you can't just pick it up like a toy. It's going to just break apart on you. This thing is very frustrating, because I think in concept it's cool, but it's like way too small to really be useful for like carrying cars, and then on top of that, I find that the quality of the actual connections to be kind of poor, And we'll get into the combination in a minute, but this is one of the more underwhelming pieces in the Boonboomger collection, and one of the more underwhelming final mecha for a series as well. But this is kind of its main carrier form. Boom Boom Suiso car. This one is an auxiliary car. It's not part of a combination, but it is used in a couple different places we will highlight. It is a water truck, and it is a recolor of the Boom Boom Patrol Car 2. They work exactly the same. They look pretty much the same, and it was a bonus with the Champion Carrier Mecha release. So it is kind of a neat little extra car on top of the rest of the series. So in episode 35, the Boonboomgers need to go to space, so they hooked up the trailers like this, Boom Boom trailer, to the carrier itself. There is no hook attachment. I just have these kind of lined up against each other, because unfortunately, there's no hook attachment. And this is where the Boom Boom Suiso car comes in, because we need rocket thrusters for this rocket ship. And there we go. That's our rocket ship capabilities. So here we have Boonboomger Robo Champion, the big final combo that only works with like a couple cars. This is an interesting combination because it's taking basically the same idea of Boonboomger Robo 119, where it's like new boots, new shoulders. You don't get new weapons in this form of it, but you do get this new sound box, which is pretty cool because it adds some sound effects to it. Now, I do have one thing I like about this and one thing I don't. First of all, I like that we had the Boon Red tire, so now we have the rest of the team represented. Love that. Always love some teamwork. You can't really see the eyes, but you can see the eyes there. You can see the faceplate. It looks pretty good. I think it's kind of neat that it comes from two different sides. Now, unfortunately, it is incredibly, it is very friction-based. Like right now, I've got it lined up, but you move the toy around just enough, shake it a little bit, and it's immediately misaligned, as you can see there. It's not really playable. Like a lot of Sentai Mecha, I always talk about this. Stability is the #1 thing for me. I love when it's stable. And that's basically a little unstable, but it does look good overall. Now, in the series, there is multiple weapons that will appear for Boonboomger Robo Champion to use, like the sword. And you can still do that. You just got to move some of these bits out of the way for wagon and off-road. I think that's pretty fun. That's a pretty neat feature in the show. You can see as all I've done is just do that, and then the little mouth plate. The little mouth plate's misaligned because it doesn't really peg in super great. Anyways, that's my nitpick. The cool thing too is that there are more sound effects thanks to the Champion Changer that can be played in this toy. So let's hear them. So you can hear that it has different sounds or different attacks, but specifically Champion Road, its final attack, will use the Boom Boom Suiso car, which came with the Champion Carrier, where the cannons come into the shoulders, and then they launch all the Boonboomger cars as a final attack. And now this is my biggest problem with the toy. Okay, that's a fluke. There is zero pegging going on there. You cannot get these things to lock in. They are just resting there. There is no clip system. There's no like grip at all. You just put the two cannons up at the top and then, basically don't pick up the toy because they just kind of flop around and they'll just throw themselves off of it with very little motion. Now, I know it's for the final attack. It's not part of the main combination, but again, this is a kid's toy. You know what kids do with their toys? They pick them up and shake them. If they can't pass the shake test, you're not a good toy. That's the end of the story. So in terms of the main combo, if you shake test breaks the face, shake test breaks the cannons off. I don't like it. I wish it was a lot sturdier. I wish it was a lot better because I've seen a similar system to that be put into a toy, but for whatever reason, it does feel like the Champion Carrier was put through the budget grinder to death because there's a lot of features about it that should be amazing, but they aren't. And that's kind of a bummer. But our video does not end here. There is more to do with Boonboomger. In episode 38, Speedor inexplicably returned to the series after a guest appearance for Boom Boom Mach Robo Go-On Custom, which essentially is the Speedor parts of Engine O attached to Boom Boom Mach Robo. I also didn't buy the DX Robo Universe Go-Onger Engine O because, again, I have other versions, but it is kind of cool that these were canonical combinations in the series. From episode 39, we have Boonboomger Robo Champion Leo Rescue Custom, which is basically Boonboomger Robo Champion, but with the Leo Rescue weapons attached to it, which is pretty fun. I like when they do stuff like that. In episode 43, we had Boom Boom Mach Robo Gokai Custom, which oddly, the others were hybrids. This one just looked straight up like Gokai-O. It completely took over the Boom Boom Mach Robo's body. Hence why I just dug out Deluxe Gokai-O here. This one was weird because with the others, they did the hybrid things. You think that would fit the gimmick of the interchangeable toys in DX Robo Universe. But with this one, maybe the Gokai-O suit couldn't have been broken down into parts that could combine with the Boom Boom Mach Robo suit. So weirdly enough, he just became a full Gokai-O. So I'm going to count that as done for my collection because I already have Gokai-O. Boom Boom Killer Robo Carjack debuted in episode 44 and features 4 stolen cars from the Boonboomgers. It was a rough day for our team. This is a cool combination, and I like the idea of just loading it up to all kinds of different weaponry. Of course, you got the 2 split cars, which allow you to have arm and leg combos, and then the 2 handheld weapons. I think it's super awesome, and it's a really imposing, threatening form. Boonboomger Robo Shovel and Patrol Car 2 Custom was from a non-canon racing special that came out during the early part of the series. I stuck it here at the end because where was I going to put it? It has no timeline placement. It is kind of funny that basically it's using Patrol Car 2 as just a pair of cannons. Kind of appreciate the artillery there. Not sure what this is contributing. In the Boonboomger vs. King-Ohger movie, we got to see Boom Boom Mach Robo, Wagon, and Patrol Car 2 Custom, which is pretty much exactly as it sounds. I did notice that it's funny. The Patrol Car 2 in this hand holds pretty well. This one's really loose. I'm not exactly sure why, but the Mach Robo hands really don't like to hold anything that's not the thing it already came with. But yeah, kind of a neat way to do a custom, and I honestly am surprised that they didn't do this more in the series. Using the King Boom Boom Changer activated 2 new combinations in Boonboomger vs. King-Ohger, one of them being King Boonboomger Robo. Now this isn't an official combination, but in the movie itself, it essentially is the Boom Boom Racing as the shoulder cape. Love that detail brought back from Boom Boom Night. And then we have the sword from King-Ohger as well as King-Ohger's head. Now, what I said by not being an official combination is that this wasn't designed when the original toys were designed. This is something they did on the production, and you actually can replicate it because the actual peg size on the handle for the sword fits Boonboomger Robo. Of course, that's going to fit. Now, the head thing, I did do a little bit of trickery because it looks like it's perfect, right? And you can actually turn the head and he can look in multiple directions. It's just sitting there. This is just the little robot dude that like you throw in, right? The little robot dude you throw in as a spacer. You just put that there and then you pop the King-Ohger head off the ball joint and then you just kind of rest it there. And it's like, boom, there you go. Now you got your King Boom Boom Robo. It works pretty dang well, all things considered. I'm quite surprised. But sadly, King Boom Boom Mach Robo was not able to work. I've been trying, I've been looking at it. Basically, in the movie, it's like this. It's just, he's got the big old weapon arms from God King-Ohger, which is nice, because, you know, it's like 4 components there, but, you know, the peg size doesn't work for the hands. The hands are too big. The arms are too thick to just kind of squeeze and wrap around with either of these connections, because these were designed, of course, for the skeletal arms of King-Ohger. So I can't figure this out. I mean, if you just tape it, yeah, you could just tape it on there. Other than that, that's pretty much all you can do. But, you know, I tried, but it didn't quite work out. But at least King Boonboomger Robo worked out. So overall, I feel that the Boonboomger toy line has a lot of great ideas and a lot of solid ideas with its toys. Smaller toys that would be easier to collect at a more affordable price that kind of build and connect together, but sadly not build into something big and crazy. We had God King-Ohger the year prior, and that was kind of fun to throw 20 components all together, whereas this series didn't have anything that made it worth collecting everything, so you could have been a little bit pickier, which is also good in terms of financial situations. Now, in terms of the overall toy line, I think the best way I describe it is Fun, but imperfect. It has a lot to it that I really do enjoy, but there's some holdbacks in some places. I think the Boom Boom Booster and the Change Axe really disappointing. I find that Boom Boom Mach Robo could be a little bit sturdier, a lot stronger, and I'm really unhappy with the Champion Carrier overall. It just doesn't live up to the coolness of it was in the series. But overall, I think that I enjoy the Boonboomger toy line as a whole, but it's just not as good as I think the toy line could have been. So, once again, it's imperfect, but it's fun. So that does it for this episode of Sentai Showcase. The series is on an irregular basis on the channel, but stay tuned by hitting subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss out, and check out the other videos on the channel as well. You can also hit the like button, helps share the video out there, helps me know that you enjoyed it, and leave any comments down below. Give me your thoughts on Boonboomger and its toy line. Also, if you so wish, you can continue the conversation by joining our Discord server in the link below, and you can join as a channel member and get perks like early access to videos and special shoutouts. Let's give those special shoutouts to our channel members. Special shout out to all of our channel members, including Captain Tier, Spin-54, MasterBed95, Forever1000, Super Shadix Boom, Mr. Smelly Potato, James Abel, Jamie's World, Veloquince, Rabbitman, Daniel Evans, Zizu426, Common Pikachu, John Troutman, Spidey Brian, Fernando Perea, Smotlock, Lord Tatman, Henry G, Caro, Gang1, Sebastian Travez. Thank you all for your support, both viewers and members alike. If you so wish, I'm on social media on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Soundout12. You can also find my wonderful graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643. And you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for tokusatsu interviews and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, see you in the next showcase.